Welcome to Flash Lesson 12, Introduction to Interactivity and Buttons. And so, as I opened up Lesson 12, start.fla, I have already created for you a timeline. Well, it's partially created so that you can see how this thing actually builds out. And so we're going to, I'm going to show you what to put in each of the layers in your timeline so that we can set up this timeline so that it actually can hold movie clips and make the timeline interactive so that when a button is clicked, it jumps over into a new section, plays the new clip, and you can have different movies playing inside of different movies. So this is basically how a Flash website is actually set up, where you have buttons and navigation. And so we'll start off with layer 5. And in layer 5, we're going to rename this layer Labels. So I'm going to click the title and name this one Labels. And then we have to insert keyframes in frames 10, 20, 30, and 40. So I'm going to go to 10 and go to Insert, Timeline, Keyframe, and then go to 20. And if your computer is set up to use your function keys, you can use F6 to insert a keyframe. My computer is not. So I'm going to go to Insert, Timeline, and then Keyframe again. And 30, Insert, Timeline, and then Keyframe. These are all blank because there's no content that's drawn out on the stage. I'm going to go to 40, and then also in 50 I'm going to insert a blank frame. So 40 I go to Insert, Timeline, Keyframe, and then 50 gets a blank frame, it gets a regular frame. Insert, Timeline, and then Frame. Alright. And now I'm going to insert my labels. So I click Keyframe 1. And labeling is a way of commenting. If you're familiar with computer programming, how important commenting is. Label is a way for you to set up markers that will show you what content is going to go where. So the first label I'm going to use right in Stunt 1. Now, if I select Keyframe 1, I go over to Label in the Properties Inspector, and I type in Stunt 1, and I'm going to do it in all lowercase because labeling is case sensitive, and I like to stick with all lowercase when I have to worry about case sensitivity. Stunt 2 goes in section 2. Stunt 3. Make sure that I am in the right place in the property inspector. Stunt 3 goes in 3. And then Stunt 4 goes in 4 in the 4th section, and in the 5th section, which starts at 40, is Stunt 5. Okay, and then when I hit my Enter key, it'll automatically put that text in there also. Alright, now the second layer is the Actions layer. And so I'm going to rename that one Actions. This controls the playback head in Scene 1. We want the playback head to stop in the very last frame before it hits the keyframe for the next section. So in frame 9, we're going to insert a keyframe. And 19, a keyframe. 29, a keyframe. 39, a keyframe. And then in 50, since it's the very last frame, we're going to insert a keyframe there as well for the act that will hold actions. Now we did work with the lesson, the Ladybug lesson had us install an action. We're going to do that again now. Action does not go in keyframe 1, but it does go in 9. So I'm going to activate 9, and I'm going to go to Window. I'm going to open up my Actions panel, and I'm going to choose Global Functions, Timeline Control, and the Stop. And now, since rather than having to do all of that for every single one of these keyframes, all I have to do is go to select the stop action and then use my keyboard commands, Command Copy, Command Paste, or Control Copy Paste if you're on a PC. But I'm going to go to Command C on my Mac here and copy this text, and then in the next, just clicking the next keyframe, I go down here into the Actions panel and click with my cursor to mark the spot and go to Command V to paste it in. So I click this, select that keyframe, paste it in with my Command or Control V, and paste it in, and just paste it in. So each of these keyframes now have a little letter A in them and the stop action control on them. Closing that window. What to do in, let's see, in layer, we're on layer 3, the navigation layer. Here we go. Navigation. So let's rename this navigation. And what we're going to do is just place an ending keyframe in the last section. So we're going to go to Insert, Timeline, and Frame. We don't want to have a keyframe in the navigation layer. We have a keyframe to start it off, yes, that's true. But at the very ending spot, that should be a frame. So if you accidentally put a keyframe in there, what you can do is just you can click it and then you can go to Insert and then remove the frame. It'll give you an option to remove it. Well, let's just do it just to make sure that I'm telling you the right thing. So if I insert a keyframe in here and then I want to take it out, I'm going to go to Insert. Now I'm going to go to Edit, Timeline. Go to Modify, Timeline, and clear the keyframe. That's what you want to do. Sometimes you have to hunt around in Flash for these things. Anyway, clearing the keyframe, that turns it into a regular frame. The reason why is that keyframes chop things up, and it'll create two instances of the buttons when you only want one, and you'll have to script the whole sequence of button 2 times instead of just 1 time. But take my word for it, put a frame in there, not a keyframe. Okay, so now going back down to what to do in layer 2, we're going to name this one Movie Clips. You can also call it Content if you want to. But this is the section that's going to hold the little clips that we're going to create. So now I'm going to insert a keyframe again in each of these layers. And the keyframes are following the flags. So wherever you've got a flag up here, I've got a flag in 20, a flag label, I'm going to insert my keyframes in the Movie Clips layer. Insert, Timeline, Keyframe, Insert, Timeline, and Keyframe, and then a frame always goes in the very last one, like that. So you've got keyframe, 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 and then a frame at the end to end everything except for in the actions layer. Now what to do in layer 1 is just to rename it background. So I'm going to give myself a little more room here. Rename this thing background. And my background is going to last throughout the whole movie, so I'm going to go to 50 and then insert a frame in 50 so that my background lasts throughout the whole movie. And I'm going to stop this recording here so that this recording is short and continue on with the next recording for how to make the buttons.